how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Dr.
Great
Ferrari?
to be with you.
You too. You've got your libation of water.
I have water, ice water.
Nice. I've got coffee. So it's a pleasure to be with you. You are one of our ICD presenters at our 2019 conference.
Excited to be here again. This will be my third time presenting for you all. Years.
Oh.
But the first time I presented, you all wanted to hear about procrastination and what it was about. So I did that. That's where I first met Dr. Roster, Catherine Roster, and we became immediate good friends at that time. Then the second time, my students presented. We did an interactive symposium around the center, and I think that got mixed results for whatever reason. And then I haven't been brought back anymore until this time with Dr. Roster and I.
Well, we've been putting it off,
Oh, I don't want to hear the jokes. Procrastination
Right.
is not a funny topic. It's
Okay.
more prevalent than phobia, depression, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, panic attacks. 20% of adult men and women are chronic procrastinators, meaning this is their lifestyle. They do this at home, at school, at work, in relationships. And yet we treat it as a funny topic. And yet there are all these jokes. But it's not a funny topic. It has health implications. It has financial implications. And so at this presentation, I'll probably cover a few of these things, but our real focus will be looking at procrastination and clutter. The last few years, Roster and I have been looking at the relationship. Let me give you the backstory briefly.
Great.
At that first presentation, she was out in the audience, out in the crowd, listening. And at the end, she comes to me, she goes, "This is great. I study possessions. I study what people buy as a consumer psychologist. And I'd love to do some work with you on possessions and procrastination." I said to her, no, actually, I'm more interested in the impact of clutter, possessions, and home. Roster and I decide, let's look at clutter impacts on a person's sense of home. And that's when we published our first paper, I believe it was in 2016, with the great assistance of ICD members. You were able to give us over 1,600 people who I self-identified with a clutter problem. And we published the paper in 2016 looking at the dark side of home. That shows that the more we possess, the less our sense of home. And that really sparked a lot of media attention and other people's interest. And so then we...
It's fascinating. With people who are coming to the conference, not only are you going to bring your great book, we're excited about that.
Okay.
What would you...
I'll be more excited when they buy copies, but that's it.
We're huge supporters of our ICD collaborators. So what would you want people to step away from your session with? Like one or two things, do you think?
We've actually came up with, and I'm looking at the slides now. We actually came up with several things we're hoping. We really want to discuss the relationship between procrastination and clutter. That's how it's currently defined and the way we as researchers have measured them. We want to illustrate a basic model that Roster and I have been working on the relationship between clutter and procrastination problems, and how they influence what we've been looking at. And then we want to summarize what we've learned so far, because we've looked at women of color and clutter. We've looked at generational differences. We've been looking at clutter in the home, office clutter, and we're really excited about some new projects that we're looking at in terms of technology clutter, e-clutter, and all things around mobile phone clutter. And it's really amazing to me how little research there is on these topics. And so Roster and I are extreme extroverts, and I think you'll find it a very entertaining presentation. I already said, don't give me a podium. That's got nothing to do with me. Just give me a mic and let me go.
I think that's some great things that people will be able to take away. And then, of course, engaging with anyone that's willing to contribute to your research. I mean, that's what we're here for. So, well, we're looking forward to seeing you, and thank you for taking time. And we'll see you in September.
I'm dressed for the winter because we're talking in the winter, and I can't wait till September to be in Florida in the heat.
I know. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
All right.